because I'm bi, I can make everyone's life easier by just dating a man. But right now, I have this girl in my life, and I really love her. David said, also Sarah Beth, stand now. Oh, because she's part of the Rainbow Mafia. Yes. Yes. And her story was really touching, to be honest. And also, something about her, I don't know how to explain this. I don't know where she comes from, and I don't know what her family is like. But I feel like where she comes from, making a come out is a big deal. And kudos to her for making it. And I love what she said. She said, because I'm bi, I can make everyone's life easier by just dating a man. But right now, I have this girl in my life, and I really love her, And I thought, wow, like I never thought about bi identity like that. Like I never thought about it like that. Like you could just be straight passing because you can, but it's deeper than that, I'm happy she's living in her truth. I find that one of the saddest things in life is being in the closet, to be honest. Everyone wants to be loved and everyone wants to be in love. It's literally everything we talk about. Literally, a Big Brother is a strategy game, and love makes its way onto the show. You'll have like French reality television, love makes it onto the show. You have work, and love is everything people strive for. And for me to think that someone is not allowed to love is just crazy to me. So I think being in the closet is one of the saddest things ever. David said, Sarah Beth seems so genuine and sweet. I love it. She is. She does seem sweet. Very. I have nothing against her. She hasn't given me show yet, but I have no problems against her. Right when she said the bi dilemma thing made me bawl. Yo, I completely like, it really resonated with me. I was like, oh, I never thought of that. I never thought that as a bi person, there would be a pressure to be straight, to act straight, because I've been in that same situation. Really, what happened? You thought you were bi, or are you bi? Did you say you were bi? I forgot what you said you were. Bi, or what's your, how do you identify? Being in the closet was the worst thing. Worst thing, STG. What is STG? But yeah, because you can't, literally, people want to love. Imagine stripping, like, it's such a basic human needs. People have kids. When you reach a certain age, that's all people talk about. Relationship. You could have the best job in the world and be the most successful person, and people will ask you, so where's your partner? Who's your partner? Celebrities, they're supposed to be movie stars, and we still want to know about their personal love life. So love is so central to our lives that I can't imagine not being able to express that love. That's crazy to me. I find it so stupid, the whole thing of who cares about someone's sexual orientation? Like, what do you care for? You know what I mean? Like, what do you care that you would discriminate against that person? David says it's who you are, referring to Sarah Beth being bi. Yeah, it's not, yeah, you're not like, she doesn't identify herself. She is bi, yeah. She is bi. She doesn't identify as bi. But then again, we say so even trans people, we shouldn't say they identify as a female or a woman or a man. We should just say they are a man, right? Because that's who they are. Proper language, when we have the proper language, that's when we can have respectful dialogue. So I know it seems like I'm being PC, but I really want to make sure that, respecting people, because it costs nothing for me to be respectful. You know what I mean? Literally no effort. So might as well be respectful. Alex said, I don't get why people would judge someone's sexuality. I don't get it. It's rooted in religion. And because religion was so central to our nations, literally the reasons why you have people colonizing other countries was sometime to spread that religion. And then people interpret the religion as being homophobic. So that's how they push it on to others, right? People believe in their religion at their core. So that would explain it. I don't understand it, but even I would say when I was younger, I was a bit more religious. because that's how I was raised. And even back then, I was never, you know, I was never, I never hated gay people, right? But I think part of our culture as a society was very homophobic. Like I remember gay slurs being normalized, and it wasn't like when people use those gay slurs against people, it wasn't because of their sexuality. It was just because that word was an attack in itself. I don't know if that makes any sense. So yeah, all those words, I won't pronounce them, but it was so normalized back then. I don't feel like I used those words, but I don't think like when I was a kid, I would call out anyone for using this word because it was so normalized, right? But yeah, but I'm happy like times are changing, and even if you compared like 5 years from now, things were very different, even in terms of physical aslot. It wasn't treated the same, gender, everything different. So I'm happy we're progressing. David says, and when people are like, oh, they grew up in a world when it was different, referring to elderly homophobic people, but like, hello, you're still growing. 1000%. That's what I always say. You're still part of the world. Like all of it. As an adult, I'm different from who I was as a kid. You know what I mean? I'm aware, even as a kid, like kids are sometimes mean because they don't have that social awareness or whatever. They aren't socialized yet to be like nice, or it's not like ingrained in them. But when they grow older, they grow like they understand that you have to be nice to people. So for me, in social norms, why isn't it the same? Why don't we hold the same standards? You're constantly learning. Yeah, 1000% agree with you. I always say this. You're still part of the world. But one thing, the only thing I will say is that internet culture grows faster than the outside world. What I mean by that is a lot of things that I learn about society and everything is stuff that I seen from internet, and I'm always online. But we have to realize that a lot of people are not always online and gathering other people's opinion. So when you're not online as often, you may not be sensitized to those issues, right? You may not be aware if you don't spend a lot of time on social media, right? So that's why a show like Big Brother is good for people who are not always online, because they get to see that, okay, diversity is important. We need to teach you why it's important, etc., etc. So yeah, I 1000 agree with you that you're still part of that world. So you should still evolve. But the problem is that people, if you're not online, you're not aware of social issues. And if you always hang out with the same crowd, you tend to have the same perspective when you have a small group of people. And when you have the same perspectives, that can be hard to make you change your ways. But I 1000% agree with you. Because even let's say you go to work, you will eventually meet people who have different demographics from yours, anywhere, you know. So yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, but with an asterisk. David says people can still learn. Like you don't just stop learning at a certain age. 1000% agree. 1000% agree with you. Like I said, like even me, I never thought I would buy music. Now I have a Spotify subscription. Why? Also, what's it called? Now I always say I don't buy fast fashion. I don't do it anymore. I'm different in that sense. Much more sensitive about not hurting people who are of a marginalized group. Example, LGBTQ. Very aware and much more quick to call out when something happens. I don't accept casual racism as much as I did before. Before I was like, oh, I'm not gonna say anything because I don't want to get in trouble. So yeah, 1000% agree with you. Like we're evolving. And yeah, David said, and most modern homophobia and racism is still around because it's being taught by their parents. It's so messed up. Exactly. But that's why the internet is important, because let's say even if your parents teach you something, as a child of your parents, you still have exposure to other people by going to school, by going online, etc., etc. So yeah, but I'm happy that our generation is breaking that curse. That way our kids won't have those biases, and I think they're going to be even more woke than us, if I could say that in parentheses. Alex says, I grew up in a Catholic household. Me too. I grew up Catholic. I grew up in a Catholic household, and my dad is very homophobic. I had a lot of arguments with him about that topic. It's insane. And how does he feel nowadays? Like, how does he feel about it? My friend actually, I have a lot of white friends who have racist parents, and I'm happy that my white friends are finally comfortable calling out their parents on racism. You know, I would say that in my family, it's not so much that people are homophobic, because I think if I came out to my parents, like, there wouldn't be any problems. But I think there could be insensitive comments, right? You know what I mean? Like, um, let's say someone dresses more fruity, you know? You'll have maybe someone who says, "Oh, that's a very fruity outfit." They won't say, like, they'll point it out, not to be mean, but just because they're so used to pointing those things out. But it doesn't stem from a deep hatred and a deep opposition to being gay, if that makes any sense. So it's like, it's not good. It's not good, but it's definitely different from someone who's religious and who's very anti LGBTQ or whatever else. You know what I mean? Alex said my dad is still homophobic. However, he's now very respectful. Exactly. It's someone else's choice, 1000%. It's not like it's a choice. I know. We understand what we mean. Like, we're not gonna tiptoe around words. Like, if it's like, he sees them as having their choice and he respects their choice, but we know that it's not a choice, and deep down someone is gay. We get it. But from the lens of your dad's eyes, did you say, wait? Yeah, exactly. And he knows I have gay friends, so he's careful. Exactly. And I always feel like when you have someone in your circle, social circle, that identifies in a certain way, that's when you become aware and you become less of a thing. I used to work in retail, and in retail, there were a lot of guys who were gay. And I feel like that's when I became more sensitive about it. Meaning that, let's say if I had a friend that would make like gay, like homophobic remarks, like people, when I say homophobic remarks, like, oh my God, look at the guy, he's so gay. Like, I don't know how to explain. It would make me uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like, before, I felt detached from the issue, but when I started having more gay friends around me, that's when it really made me uncomfortable, when someone around me was homophobic, if that makes any sense.